Just get that set up on the YouTube channel.
Right.
You ready? All right. Well, good evening, authority members, and good evening, staff. I'd like to call to order the Thursday, February 12th, 2026, Northern Virginia Transportation Authority Business Meeting. Ms. Henderson, will you please do the roll call?
Chair Randall,
I'm here.
Mayor Davis Younger,
Present.
Chairman McKay,
Present.
Chair Jefferson,
Present.
Board Member Karen Tonis, Councilmember Agari,
Present.
Councilmember Snyder,
Here.
Mayor Mensing. Here. Mayor Reed. Here. Senator Boysko. Delegate Delaney. Delegate Sewell. Mr. Harity. Mr. Gribbin.
Here virtually.
Mayor Burke. Here. Ms. McCool.
Yeah.
Ms. Zimmerman.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, and Ms. Cool and Ms. Zimmerman. I don't know if you all were here on the last meeting. I was not. So good to have you and welcome. Ms. Zimmerman, I do believe this is your first meeting, is it not?
This is my
Would you
first
like to say anything or talk about yourself at all, or
Sure.
introduce yourself?
Thank you. I'll introduce myself. Hello, everyone. I'm Maria Zimmerman, who doesn't have her microphone on. There we go. Is that better? Hello, I'm Maria Zimmerman. I am the new director of the Virginia Department of Rail and Public Transportation. It's nice to see some of you. I lived in Arlington for 17 years before moving to Richmond 10 years ago. So familiar with some of the issues in Northern Virginia, and see some faces that I know have been down in Richmond to talk at the General Assembly this month, since that's the time to be doing that. So it's great to be here. I look forward to participating in future meetings as well.
Thank you very much. Ms. McCool, is this your first meeting?
We're in the last.
So I turn this on, it is.
It is. Would you like to introduce yourself and talk a little bit?
Well, I'm here, unfortunately, Bill Cutler's wasn't
Yeah.
able to attend tonight, so I'm here in his place. But I recently took on the role as the Assistant District Administrator for Planning and Funding. You probably all remember Maria Center, so I took on that role. for her. So I've watched some meetings here, but not intended to, you know.
Well, welcome, welcome. I have a, I'm going to consider a challenge from Chairman McKay to get this meeting 40 minutes, so let's get going. The first thing we're gonna do is have a presentation on the travel trends, the dashboard demonstration. We're gonna do that first. You okay? Contagious.
No, I'm good. On the other side, other side, the calling just lingered.
Everybody?
I'll wait for the handouts. All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Chair Randall. Thanks, members of the authority. I will try to keep it brief so we can have a 40-minute meeting. I'm here. I'm Matt Bewley. I'm a regional transportation planner here at NVTA. I'm here to talk to you about a new data and GIS product we have for you called the Travel Trends Dashboard. Just a bit of introduction. You will remember a presentation maybe called the Quarterly Travel Trends presentation that was given to this authority on a quarterly basis that summarized some performance measures, travel activity summaries, that kind of thing on a quarterly basis, just to summarize what things are looking like in the region. There was a desire to make that a bit more interactive, a bit more dynamic. So we took some of those measures that you've seen and some new data and have put it into a Power BI dashboard that is interactive and dynamic and is something you can now access through NVTA's website. Up here on this toolbar, and the handouts will describe some of what you'll see. And so it loads here. I'm just going to maximize it so that we can see as much as we can here on the screens. And if you've seen a Power BI dashboard before, you will recognize this, right? There's a landing page and some other thematic pages describing some of the performance measures that I mentioned. And sorry, it's still big deal. Okay. Anyway, so this is the dashboard that I mentioned. So the quarterly travel trends presentation in the past talked about things like travel volumes, travel time reliability, transit ridership. So like I've said, you've seen some of these measures before. It just looks new, and we've made it a little nicer to interact with. So this is a homepage here. You can see some information about MBTA, what MBTA is and what it does. The jurisdictions here, you can interact with this map. And right here, you have some descriptions of the measures that we've loaded so far into this dashboard: traffic volume, reliability, transit ridership, those things that I was mentioning. So I'm just going to take you on a quick tour through this dashboard. We can take questions at the end, of course. And the plan, I think, is to enhance this as time goes on. And so we'll be adding tabs and measures to this dashboard. So the first one we have here is traffic volumes. So this data comes from VDOT, as courtesy of VDOT. And VDOT tracks traffic volumes on roads around the region through a set of 58 traffic counters, permanent traffic counters that are installed in the road. And this has happened since COVID, and they've been sending MBTA this data. And we've been reporting on it in the form of those presentations, but we gathered it all, put it in this chart. What it shows effectively is travel volumes over time. So how across this set of 58 counters, how many vehicles are passing those counters over time? Now, it's not comprehensive, but it is, sorry. Here. Right, I'll try this one. It's not comprehensive, but it is something like a good sample that can be tracked over time, so you can get a sense of a trend over time, right? This isn't, as you can see, an absolute count of vehicles, it's an index, right? And what that means is that we've got here at the earliest quarter, 2022 or 2020 rather, quarter one, we've set that value as 1, and everything since then is relative to that value. So what it shows is how things have changed since 2020 quarter one. And what you can see over time, so you see 2020 quarter two here, that's that drop during COVID, right? Which was very dramatic and is something that shows up here. And you can play with this yourself and observe some of the seasonality in how people are traveling and how things have changed over the years. As with all of these pages, you can also interact with these filters over here to make things look the way you want, to visualize weekends only, for example, select Sundays and Saturdays up here, and just look at the trends that you're interested in yourself. So moving on to travel time reliability. This is another index, so it takes a bit of a step to understand, but basically what it represents is how predictable your travel time is, or how predictable travel time is for people on roads across the Northern Virginia region. And what that means basically, so say I have a commute of 20 minutes, right? I know a trip usually takes me 20 minutes, but I'm going to budget 30 minutes usually. And that's because I know there could be a wreck. I know there could be just a high travel day, that kind of thing. So I'm usually budgeting 30 minutes for a trip that might take 20. And what that means is maybe sometimes you arrive early, but you also arrive on time most of the time. And so what this index indicates is how much added time people are using in order to arrive on time, right? So one would be, you know, it's taking 20 minutes. You're always traveling 20 minutes. It's always 20 minutes. We know that's not the case. You know, you're out on the highways. It's going to take you longer than what you expect. And so people budget for that. So what this indicates is how much additional time. So one would be exactly what you expect, and everything above that is a percentage difference. So 1.37 is people adding 37% additional travel time in order to arrive on time most of the time. And this is another one where you can see a trend over time. So most of us, I think, will be aware of the State of the Commute report that came out, COG's State of the Commute report. One of the top line findings from that was that commute times overall have not changed all that much since the start of COVID. And this is showing something similar, right? And this is just the kind of thing that you can explore for yourself on this dashboard. Right now, it's broken down by time of day, so you can get some of those peak travel time effects, for example. Last, we have ridership, which is probably the easiest to understand because it is just boardings on transit vehicles in the region, buses, trains, and paratransit vehicles. And this data comes courtesy of TRVT and MVTC. And again, here, just to tell the dramatic story that this graph tells, it's the story of COVID, right? Again, quarter two, you see that dramatic drop and a steady increase since then. Right now, it's broken down by mode, so you could examine how things are changing mode to mode. You can also break it down by transit agency to get a picture at the agency level. And again, you can play with these filters here. So that's just a quick tour. Tried to be quick at least. Again, you can access this through the website. If you have questions tonight, please let us know. And I think there are plans to expand this as time goes on and as interest from authority members dictates. So thank you all for your time.
Wonderful, thank you. Authority members, do you have questions? This dashboard is ready to be shared, so if we want to share it with our counties and cities, we can do that, and towns, we can do that.
It is public on the website, so
Okay,
it's
you can
this link right
you can
here.
link it.
Yes,
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much.
thank you.
All right, I'm gonna go on and make a motion to approve the January 8th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Second.
Seconded by Chair McKay. That's how you move it fast, right, Chair McKay?
That's right.
Discussion on the motion. Assuming, and I know that you did, I'll look at the meeting memory summary. All good to say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have, okay, you were not here, so you're going to abstain. Wonderful. Well, not wonderful, but okay. Abstention. Anybody else? All right, wonderful. Thank you. We have a approval of a award of the transaction contract. Council member Snyder, did you want to talk about that at all before, or Mr. Longi?
Yeah, just to say that we discussed this in the finance committee, and the proper procedures were followed and approved by the council of councils, and so we recommend approval of the contract as proposed. And I'll entertain Madam Chair Michael Long to talk a little bit more about it.
And then I'll go back to you for the motion.
Sure.
Okay. Mr. Longi.
Thank you, Chair Randall. Just to briefly go over the staff report, this was an open and competitive competition. Transaction, as you know, is the Northern Virginia Region's transportation plan. It has a 5-year life cycle, so this starts a approximately 5-year process, which typically ends up being about 6. This work also entails the updates to the 6-year program. We had a very open and very competitive process. I do want to point out that the selection panel was comprised of professionals from around the jurisdiction: Arlington, City of Alexandria, City of Manassas, Fairfax County, and Prince William County, along with VDOT and obviously representatives from NVTA. When we do these procurements, I always like to go into the negotiation stage listening to what the selection panel tells us to achieve in the negotiations. The selection panel gave us a couple of objectives to make, and I'm pleased to report we got those. I'm also pleased to report that we got price concessions as we were getting those. So this project is going to end up with about a 13% or a little over $500,000 contingency on it, which is very healthy for this type of contract. The award recommendation is based on the selection panel's unanimous support for ICF, the successful negotiations that I just mentioned, the cost negotiations. Most importantly, the modeling systems and approach for the transaction update are consistent and compatible with those in use by NVTA, many member jurisdictions, and the Council of Governments TPB board. The proposed contract is within the appropriation, so there's no budget adjustment needed. And with this, we'll be able to start the next update to transaction. I'd be more than happy to reply to any questions.
If you have any questions, how about this? If we do have questions, can we ask questions within the motion? Mr. Snyder, would you make a motion, please?
Sure, thanks very much. But before I do that, might I just give folks a quick summary of the transaction work that the contractor will be doing for us?
Well, the transaction is the region's multimodal transportation plan, which gets updated every 5 years and forms the basis for the data-driven selection or recommendation to this body for projects to be approved, for implementation. Those applications come at the jurisdiction level and transit agencies.
Mr. Snyder, if I could, Just as a reminder, the authority can only fund projects that are in transaction. That is a requirement per code. And transaction will have projects in it that it's in DC and in Maryland because it is a needs-based document. Now, we know we can only fund what's in Virginia, Northern Virginia, but it's a needs-based document. So it's fiscally and geographically unconstrained.
So basically for folks that may be listening, that this is a very important function that this body performs, and the contractor will be an important way by which we perform our functions. So this is an important action on the part of the authority. So I'd move approval of transaction contract award to ICF. To ICF.
Second. Motion made and seconded by Mayor Mincing. Thank you very much. Any further discussion on the motion for the maker of the motion, Mr. Snyder?
Madam Chair,
Any discussion on the motion?
I have no discussion.
Anything else saying? Anybody else have discussion on the motion? Mr. Karatars.
Maybe in the form of a little bit embedded question. Mr. Longi, you mentioned that ICF, so the proposed contractor here is well known, and there are not, it's used by partner agencies, by TPB, etc. I know them from adjudications of contracts there. You seem to hint, to insinuate that this is actually a feature because that makes the methodology and the modeling kind of helps to make that more compatible, and so there's an assumption embedded there, or at least this is how I see that, an assumption embedded that we'll get actually better results. I mean, we will understand better the parameters of the performance of our transportation system here. So is that
Yeah,
well understood?
The three firms that we went into presentations and the final two firms we went into negotiations with are all very well respected. ICF is an international firm based in Reston, Fairfax County. It does substantial work around the greater Washington metropolitan area. Also, many of the subcontractors, while this is our first engagement with ICF, many of the subcontractors have done work for the authority under previous transaction contracts. So I think we have a very strong team in front of us to handle this work.
Right, excellent. A second thing that I don't, maybe I'm not very well versed, and so there is a part of this contract that would cover, is that the second phase of the BRT? So the work that the authority does on BRT planning, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so can you elaborate a little bit what the deliverable here is?
Certainly, we did the original BRT study and recognized that BRT is going to be a substantial part of the authority's activities for ages to come. And we've incorporated it into transaction. We had looked at the next phase, if you will, which is really going to be a very ongoing long-term thing. We are looking at, one BRT network, I think the clause goes, 28 routes or something like that. 5 of them are either active or actively becoming operational. So there is a lot of work that's going to be done over the next decade. It just made sense to wrap it into transaction because we will be going through transactions forever. And I think there's also a huge amount of efficiency that we gained by doing that as well.
Right.
Just to add to that, Board Member Hiratanas, upon the conclusion of the BRT action plan, the project sponsors or localities and agencies asked us to do things that, frankly, we just ran out of funding and money to do. But because we knew we were going to run the model included in transactions, so some of the adjustments to routes and things of that nature, that will be a part of this effort. Because as I told the authority last week, it is my goal to come and to present to every locality and agency, if you're willing, about this BRT action plan, because ultimately we would like for you all to include those routes, the 23, because 5 are already underway or active, those routes in your comprehensive plan, so they can roll into transaction and we can be in a position to fund them. But some localities and agencies want to see adjustments to some of the routes that we had in the plan as well.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Buckmore. I mean, needless to say that I'm absolutely intrigued and deeply interested in that. Not only the model, the BRT model that needs to have at some point a model share here, which, you know, we are investing money into to get it, but the idea of the network. I do believe that a lot of our colleagues see that still as, you know, kind of a better performing bus route, which it is. But more importantly, what is better performing is the network of this, and that needs to be. I mean, I expect from our consultant to really lift the visibility of the network condition here. So thank you for that.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Right, motion's been made and seconded, made by Councilmember Snyder and seconded by Mayor Mincing. All people say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. Our next item is the endorsement of Prince William County's better utilizing investments for leverage build applications. We have broke these motions up into 2 motions. I will first have Ms. Backman say anything about this item she wants to. I'm gonna go to Chair Jefferson for motions on, separate motions on both the items. But Ms. Backman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Prince William County requested MBTA endorsement of two bill grants. One is for the Old Bridge Road and Gordon Boulevard / Route 123 intersection improvements. And the other is for Prince William County Parkway, which is Route 234 at Clover Hill interchange. As is customary, we per code, we do support federal funding in this region, trying to get federal funding. So that is customary. I will note that the bill grant applications are due February the 24th. For the Old Bridge Road project, approximately 33.4 million. The project already has that amount in local, state, revenue sharing, and regional RSTP monies on the project. And they have debt funds on the project as well. So they are applying for this grant to really get to the construction. And for the Clover Hill interchange project, this project actually received funding in our inaugural 6-year program, which was the FY 18 to 2023 6-year program for 1.9 million. And with the bill grant, if they are awarded, it will indeed get them to construction. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can we ask questions inside the motions? How's that sound? Mr. Chair Jefferson, would you like to make the first motion?
All right, thank you so very much. Old Bridge Road, for the first one, and that is Old Bridge Road and Gordon Boulevard or Route 123 intersection improvement. I move authority approval of the letter of endorsement for Prince William County's better utilizing investments to leverage development or build application for the Old Bridge Road and Gordon Boulevard or Route 123 intersection improvements project.
Motion's made. Is there a second to the motion? Second. Motion's made and seconded by Mayor Davis Younger. Discussion on the motion, Ms. Chair Jefferson.
The only thing I want to say about this is this is a very tricky intersection. If anyone has gone in and tried to go off the highway onto Gordon, you have to play Frogger to get over to make that left turn. It is a dangerous turn, and it is something, it's also improving mobility in one of our most vulnerable communities. So obviously I support this, and I ask that my colleagues on MBTA support it as well.
Anybody else? Motion's made by Chair Jefferson, seconded by Mayor Davis Younger. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously. Second motion, Ms. Chair Jefferson.
All right, this one is related to Prince William Parkway and Clover Hill Interchange Project. I move authority approval of the letter of endorsement for Prince William County's better utilizing investments to leverage development or build application for the Prince William Parkway or Route 234 and Clover Hill Interchange Project contingent upon City of Manassas Council approval at their February 23rd, 2026 council meeting, city council meeting.
Motion made, so second on the motion.
Second.
Motion's made, second by Mayor Davis Younger. Discussion on the motion, Chair Jefferson.
Well, first, I want to thank the mayor for being so flexible in working with us on this motion. So Clover Hill, it's both, it's county and city. I regret that the Prince William County Transportation Department hasn't been able to meet with the Manassas City Council. It's been a scheduling conflict. But we are glad that they're able to meet with them on a Monday, just right before the grant applications due. But again, Mayor, I appreciate your flexibility on this.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Thank you also for that comment as a resident off of Clover Hill. Thank you. And we have a work session on Tuesday, and then we have the council meeting that will come before the council. Thank you for understanding my wanting to go in front of them after they've been briefed on it. So we appreciate the motion. Thank you.
And I'm sorry if I make one project. This is a really good project and also improving access to the Manassas Regional Airport, which is growing. It's growing and it's a great opportunity, not just for City of Manassas, but Prince William County and Manassas Park. So I'm very happy to work with Manassas City on this project.
Mayor Davis Younger, can I ask you, if you don't mind, after your meeting, can you let Ms. Backman know the results of the outcome of that meeting? Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Motion made by Chair Jefferson, second by Mayor Davis Younger. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passed unanimously. We're going to go to the GPC committee report. I will I don't need to make any comments until Ms. Boehner, if she is on. Yeah, there she is. Makes her comments, and then Ms. Boehner, how about this? Authority members, let Ms. Boehner go through the whole report. It's not that long, it's not that much. And if you have any questions, you can ask questions. We're having I won't say we're having a light agenda down at the General Assembly. We're having lighter than we normally do. And so it's not too much for her to go through. So Mayor Boehner, Tracy, I just put you in office, Tracy.
Nope, nobody, nope.
Amazing, you'd be amazing. So
She's like,
I have a feeling, yeah, she ain't up for that one. But we're ready when you are, Ms. Boehner.
Thank you, Chair Randall. Very quick, just some key dates coming up. We have 3 working days from crossover, which is February 17th. The next really key date is that on the afternoon of Sunday, the February 22nd, the House Appropriations and the Senate Finance and Appropriations Committees will present their amendments to the introduced biennium budget. And we will see details of those amendments no later than noon on February 24th. So I'll go through that. No question, the big transportation discussion happening in the General Assembly is the idea of net new funding for both public transit, operating and capital. As you recall, there are 4 bills, which have various degrees of some tax modernization, some statewide money, and regional money. I will say that those 4 items are unlikely to move forward in the way that they were introduced. And right now, the official version of the bills are actually being what's called carried over to 2027 for additional work. What is basically under discussion right now with the administration and House and Senate leadership on both sides is what can be done over the biennium and what should be done over the biennium regarding transit funding, both in Northern Virginia and possibly at the statewide level. There's no question that the work that we did in Northern Virginia over the last 18 to 24 months, both DMV moves and SJ 28 has provided comfort of having vetted numbers, having a very distinct and consensus goal of what we want to try to do with public transit. We have senior members of Senate Finance Committee who are saying from the dais, we understand Northern Virginia is the economic engine of the Commonwealth, and that public transit's a big part of that. However, there is no question that the concept of having that level of tax and fee reform and changes is a big pill to address in this session in 60 days, and the environment around, being very careful, because we're seeing this a lot, being very careful about everyday costs of everyday Virginians. And so I would say that our need to continue to remind members, all 140 of them, of how important transit is, how vested you all as local governments are in both your local systems and the regional systems that serve our region, that you're looking for the state to provide additional funds to be even more of a partner with you on this. Those messages need to continue to go forward as this continues to get worked out. I don't have any real indication of how it's going to end up and what the form will take, but there will be something. And again, I think it's very helpful that the administration is all in and being part of the discussion. And I think that's gonna help quite a bit. Madam Chair, the other issue that I want to bring before the board is, as you remember, the members of General Assembly are allowed to propose their own amendments to the introduced budget. And as I was looking through the list, I came across one directly impacting NVTA should it move forward. Senator Srinivasan and Senator Surville are proposing a $100,000 amount of money for NVTA in FY27 to pursue additional work regarding funding for independent standalone ped bike facilities. The language of the budget amendment is almost word for word from the letter we got from the chairs of House and Senate Transportation Committees. So as we discussed in GPC, Madam Chair, I will share that the request for me is to go back to Senator Srinivasan and Senator Surville and try to get a little more specific with them about what they're looking for. I know many of us have been in settings with Senator Surville where he really wants, what he's asked for, or what he articulates verbally, is his desire to have a specific goal of like how much money is needed to fund independent ped bike facilities in Planning District 8 and how that money could be raised. I think that will absolutely require some additional work from MBTA. The list that we're working from, which is the 2024 report from Virginia Department of Transportation, is a large list. It's not prioritized, so going through a prioritization process would be important. And that can be done with the stakeholders who worked with NVTA on the 2012 report. So I'm being charged to specifically follow up to see if both senators can be a bit more specific about what they would like NVTA to do should this amendment make it into the budget on the Senate side at least. And of course, then the House would have to approve it and et cetera. The only other just very, very short is we've got those of you who are in DMV moves, remember the concept of bus prioritization and the idea of using photo enforcement to make sure dedicated bus lanes are free, and a new legal scheme for traffic enforcement. And those bills are moving forward in Virginia. And we're also having a bit of discussion about creating a regulatory scheme for commercial autonomous vehicles, which is sort of interesting. And so those are being discussed. We'll see how far those goes. And Madam Chair, I'm going to stop at that point for any questions or comments from the members.
Authority members, I did ask Ms. Baynard to go and, if she didn't mind, and talk to Senator Srinivasan, especially Senator Surville, because what they're asking for this time was so similar to what the letter we received, when did we see it? In March? Was it March of 25? That it's so similar. We could pick that letter up, change the date and hand it back to them. And so I have no issue with the ask. And in fact, you know, it's a good thing that MBTA is trusted to do this very important work. But I don't want to assume that I know what they're asking. And so I'm just asking Ms. Bain to go back, check with them and be a little more specific on what they want so that we can either bring this back to the authority for discussion or try to fulfill the ask. I just think it's not really clear to me right now. And I wouldn't want Ms. Baynard or Ms. Backman or even myself to try to assume what they want without just going back with them and saying, give us a little bit more clarity. So that's why she's doing that. On the bike lanes, Mr. Caratonis, Alexandria and Arlington, I think are the two places right now that have, do you all have, you have dedicated bike lanes, right? Do you have
Yeah.
dedicated? I'm sorry, bus lanes.
Oh, yeah.
You have dedicated bus lanes, so really,
Yes,
you do, and
Along Route 1.
along Route 1, and so
Yeah,
does
we do.
Arlington.
Yeah.
So that really kind of applies to you
And-
all.
and-
Do you just?
Not yet.
thanks.
They're on the
Gotcha.
way.
They're on the way. Okay, so that then would apply to you all. Because we don't, I don't think Prince William County does. Yeah, so I thought it was Alexandria and Arlington that did, yeah. Any other questions for Ms. Baynard?
I have a just general, what is an independent pedestrian or bike facility? Independent, I mean, I'm not familiar with the term.
A part of a road
I
improvement.
mean, not a part of a major.
That is-
okay,
that is.
arterial.
And that's why, that's why I'm saying I think only Alexandria and Arlington have that right now. Do you have, no, I don't think anyone else has that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. Actually, I always joke when I go to Alexandria and Arlington, I was like, oh my gosh, you all have cars. Okay, sounds good. Any other questions for Ms. Baynard? None?
There is, so photo enforcement is a long discussion, but on the issue of commercial autonomous vehicles,
Mhm.
what is the appetite of the General Assembly to regulate now, or is there enough space for thinking of putting it a little bit in a space of
Yeah.
thinking about?
Yeah, Board Member Kanatanis, I think it's a very mixed bag. There are definitely members who are not comfortable getting ahead of the stakeholder work group that was created in 2025. But it's very clear the industry is pushing Virginia pretty hard to set up something that would be effective July 1, 2026. The bills are moving forward, getting out of committee and going to the floor. But I think there's going to be a lot of discussion in the second half of session about whether this is the right thing to do. A voice we have not heard yet is from the administration and how they feel about it, because that work group was stood up within VDOT. And again, they're still getting their sea legs under them a bit. And so we haven't heard from them at all within any of the committees as these bills are being discussed. There are definitely members, particularly some of the members who serve on that stakeholder group, who are not thrilled about getting ahead of it. But the advocates, the patrons for these bills are pushing pretty hard. I would tell you that I think what's driving it primarily is some of these companies are about to start pilots in the District of Columbia, and they would very much like to have a national capital region ability to provide service.
Right, there is the new thing for these stakeholders is that's multi-jurisdictional, right? So that,
Is your light on?
yeah.
Yes, okay, I can't see it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here. I was just thanking Ms. Baynard for that. I'm very interested. Is multi-jurisdictional is extremely messy, and it
Mhm.
it has a lot of stakeholders who can be heard or, promoted in ways that at this moment, I don't believe that we are ready to digest. So I'm very cautious with this.
Yeah. Regulating is going to be very complicated. I don't disagree with you, sir, particularly in the national capital region. And so as I said, while the bills are moving, I do get a sense that there's a lot of conversation yet to come.
Anybody else? Ms. Bennett, you're doing great work down there. I know it's been an interesting session. So thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna go back to for the Finance Committee reporting. Mr. Snyder, you have anything you want to add, or you want to hand off to Mr. Longi?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So we met earlier this evening, and we reviewed the local distribution fund budget, regional revenue fund, operating budget, monthly investment report, monthly revenue report, monthly operating budget report. And I will turn it over to Mr. Longi for a quick summary of what the numbers are.
Thank you. I'll be brief. The authority's revenues are looking very good. This report runs 2 months behind. So looking at numbers that came in this afternoon, I can speak with confidence that despite the headwinds that a lot of the economy is facing, the authority's revenues are performing to projections. On the portfolio, the portfolio is continuing to beat its benchmark. It has earned just under $40 million so far this year. So it continues to pay the operating budget in 1 month, plus approximately $2 million. As far as the operating budget goes, we do not anticipate any need for any operating budget adjustments. All the expenditure lines are in line with what was adopted when the authority passed the operating budget. With that, I'd be happy to reply to any specific questions.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Longi?
Any questions at all? And then I did want to indicate that the Finance Committee took a look at the budget for next year. And we forwarded to the NBTA for beginning discussion on that in the March meeting. That budget includes in-housing some communications work that previously had been performed by a consultant, and has an estimate at this point of 5% of compensation increases, but we recognize it's very fluid, and that as governments refine their budgets, that we may need to be flexible here as well. So it's just a recommendation to begin discussion, and that'll be at the March meeting. That'll be authority.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Backman, I was recently talking to Anthony Bedell, who read your complete transportation technology plan and report, and he said to me that to tell you that it was one of the best he's ever read, maybe one of the best literally in the country. And I will say that you were really in the forefront. You and MBTA were really in the forefront of talking about transportation technology before anybody else was. And I can say you and your staff should take a lot of credit for this. Anyway, having said that, I'd like to give a report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will, since Mr. Snyder is the chair of the Transportation Technology Committee, I will defer to him to see if he has anything to say.
Well, this is going to be real short. There's a written report. I'm referring back to CEO Backman.
Oh, thank you.
I will say one more thing though, and I want to give us an assignment in view of the discussion in Richmond about autonomous vehicles. I think we need to make sure that that we've got, well, I know we have a handle on it, but make sure we have a handle on it and make that considering the developments in Richmond a major agenda item going forward for the Technology Committee.
Thank you for that. And we have been following that closely. As Ms. Boehner said, we were a little surprised that there were some bills, given that the work of the committee has not really concluded, but we are following that. The other thing I would like to note is we're in the process of developing a regional transportation technology map. You know, the jurisdictions have transportation technology projects, the agencies have, and we just want to get a better idea of where there are synergies and where there are gaps so that we can try to fill any hole and then know what kind of technologies that are out there. The thing with technology, as you all know, is constantly evolving. So what was the latest and greatest today is outdated tomorrow. So we want to make sure we better understand that as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
If I could just chime in too. I just wanted to note, our staff in our Northern Virginia office are also, I think, recently got a briefing on this as well. We're very interested as a state, how we can also partner with you all to support investments in some of these new technologies. Our special demonstration grant program often is, we have room, we could receive more applications than that some years. And so I think there's opportunities there that we could partner, or just thinking of us as a funding partner and how are we learning and advancing some of this work together for the state, not just in the transit side, but I'd also mention rail crossings. There's some interesting technology looking at getting better real-time information and sort of coordinating on that too. So both in the transit and rail space, we'd love to hear more. And we're also excited by that report and the map that will be coming up.
Thank you. Anything else, Ms. Beckett?
That concludes my report, Madam Chair.
Try to go to your CEO report.
Sure, thank you, Madam Chair. So I will be brief because I say this every month. We are undergoing the 6-year program update. It's the FY 2026 to 2031 6-year program. We are adding fiscal years 30 and 31. We received 27 projects from 8 applicants requesting just shy of $1.3 billion. We don't have $1.3 billion. That should come as no surprise. When we were in Richmond, I think last week, I was asked, what is one of the biggest challenges? Funding. Funding is always a challenge. I won't get into smart scale, but funding is always a challenge. So staff has met with the 8 applicants and talked about some of the evaluation results and given feedback. So right now we're working on this information to package it for public comment period. Just as a reminder, we anticipate authority adoption of this funding program at your July meeting. Back to BRT for a bit. So last month, again, I talked about coming out to the localities and agencies and briefing everyone on one network, 28 routes. That's kind of catchy, hopefully. But before I did that, I have been meeting with the CAOs because honestly, everyone is in their budget seasons. I really don't want to come out and talk to you while you're in your budget season. So I've been meeting with the CAOs. I've had 2 meetings just to make sure that the CAOs are aware of what's going on with BRT. There's been a lot of excitement about it, and hopefully, again, with the goal in one of the localities I met with, they already have it in their comp plans, but if you could get it in your mobility plans, transit plans, comp plans, and then make sure it's included in transaction. Now that we are acutely aware that we will not have all 28 routes running in 5 years, but this will be a staged effort. And also I need to say this is not in lieu of Metro, but it is something that can provide high capacity, high frequency service in the near term. Last thing I'll say about BRT, because the 2 CEOs I have met with asked this question, do you want us to do fixed guideway? You tell us if you're in a position to do fixed guideway or not. There are more ways to do BRT than exclusively fixed guideway. The last thing I will say, the 11th annual Northern Virginia Transportation Roundtable has been scheduled. It will be here Wednesday, March 25th from 8:30 to 11 a.m. And this year's theme is Transforming Mobility, Shaping the Future. And it's going to transforming mobility, shaping the future. It's going to bring public and private sector and innovations, and we're going to talk about transportation technology. We're still finalizing the speakers, but we will make sure you all are briefed.
I think one of your speakers should be the vice mayor the vice chair of MBTA, because she's excited about it.
Thank you for volunteering, Mayor David Young. So we will include you in the program.
The chair of MBTA thinks 8:30 is awful early,
Well,
but the
that's
vice chair of MBTA is really happy over here, so there you go.
We will be serving.
She's literally like, woo-hoo, literally, she said woo-hoo.
Continental
So-
breakfast from 8:30 to 9. If you don't want continental breakfast, show up a little before 9. We have a new staff member here, Ethan Van Berkel. Raise your hand. He's our new planner on board. So this is his first authority meeting, and we are excited to have Ethan here.
Ethan, where do you live?
I live in Leesburg.
Oh, well, Jackie, we like Ethan. Do we not like Ethan? We like Ethan a lot. Welcome, Ethan. Welcome.
On that interview panel.
I like you only second to how much Mayor Burke likes you. I will tell you that right now. The 6%.
Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. I will start my report by saying that there were 30 people across the Commonwealth of Virginia that were named one of the Virginia's Black business, African-American business leaders. It is a great honor, and our own Monica Backman was named one of them. So congratulations. And if she didn't think I was going to say it, she has not met me. Of course I was going to say that. Congratulations, Ms. Backman. That is, it's a big deal.
It is staff. I always say this because it's true. I get to be
Your
the
staff is
face,
phenomenal.
but it is the
Yeah.
teamwork.
Your staff is absolutely phenomenal. That is very true. Ethan, you hear that? The staff is phenomenal. Yeah, just so you all, just so you all know. I will be making some appointments to PPC, the Planning Program Committee. I have not made those phone calls yet. Councilmember Aguirre, I will call your mayor to let her know that I will be making some phone calls because I didn't want to like spring it on people at this meeting who will be there on the PPC committee. I will say it will not be Jeff McKay because he and I have an agreement that if he serves on the nominating committee every year, then I won't nominate him for anything.
That is the
That's
agreement.
the agreement. But I will be calling other people. I do like to have at least one mayor on PPC, and so mayors just expect mayors expect a phone call from me in the next, if not tomorrow, on Monday, so I can let Ms. Backman know. But just so, to all the mayors here who are staring at me, I will be talking to you all this week at some point, okay? To make those appointments, to make the appointments to those committees. I don't think I have anything else right now for the good of the body. Not that I can think of. Does anyone else have anything for the good of the body or any other questions? Or anything? Yes, ma'am.
I just had a couple of things I wanted to update folks on. So in addition to myself, we also have a new Chief Deputy Director at DRPT, Alan Pye. And I think some of you know Alan. He had been with the City of Alexandria. He also had been with NVTC, where he played a very instrumental role there. We are excited to get him back from California. So he's back here in Virginia. And so Alan, we will take turns. Sometimes you might see Alan here. Sometimes you might see myself here, but certainly you're in good hands with Alan. Also wanted to note our grant application window closed February 1st. So we're in the process of reviewing those. And I was struck as you were talking, Monica, that your window, I know we've talked about this before, for selecting projects you're going to be investing in really aligns with our window for finalizing the 6-year investment program that we do with VDOT. But we would love if there's maybe some opportunities to do a joint stakeholder meeting where we could vet some of the projects you might be thinking about. We can vet some of the projects that we're thinking about. We will have our draft SIP out, I think, around April 21st. And then we'll be finalizing our FY27 SIP in June. So just want to note that, and then also remind folks that March is Transit Operator Appreciation Month, and we will be spotlighting some of the stellar operators who keep people safe and getting from point A to B. So if you have any folks that are in your jurisdictions or with your transit partners, you can go online and do a little nomination for them.
Oh, great. We do actually.
Yeah.
Actually have people. That's
We can
wonderful.
share that around too, so
Yeah.
you'll have that link.
Anything else for the good of the body? Seeing nothing else, we are adjourned.
You win
I guess I do.
by 10 minutes. I just didn't bring anything to talk about or I would have talked.